Good afternoon, everyone. So, I am J. Marie Anner. So, I am the last reporter from the chapter 9, which is the life cycle and reproduction. So, I will be tackling about the animal reproduction. There are huge numbers of and species of animals on Earth due to the reproduction. It is a way to pass on genes to the next generation. An individual may die, but the group or race to which it belongs persists due to reproduction. Modes of asexual reproduction are more prevalent in invertebrates. So, there are two main modes of reproduction in animals. First is ang asexual. So, ang kanilang asexual is kanang mo ni siya ang kanang the offspring are genetically identical to the parents. So this type of reproduction is common in invertebrates and sessile animals that can move around to find mates. So ang example ani sa asexual reproduction kay ang fission, budding, fragmentation, and regeneration. So kani sila, so ang fission dye mo ni siya ang kanang a parent cell divide into two or more daughter cells in a binary fission. The parent cell split into two equal daughter cells that are identical to each other and the parent cell. So ang amoeba and the bacteria are example of organism that reproduce through binary fission. So and ang budding mo ni siya ang kanang a small bump or a daughter cell forms on an organism and eventually grows into a new organism. So kanang the daughter cell has the same genetic information as the parent cell, but it is a smaller in size. So ang Hydrea and Yes cells are example of organism that reproduce through budding. And also ang fragmentation mo ni siya nga multicellular organism break into small pieces that scatter and regenerate into new organism. So ang example ani ang Planaria and sea stars are example of organism that reproduce through fragmentation. So last is ang regeneration. So ang kanilang regeneration, an organism can regrow certain body parts or restore itself into a new individual from broken body parts. Example, lizard can regenerate their tails, starfish can regenerate their arms, and human can regenerate their liver to a certain extent. So, ang usa ka kanang main modes of reproduction in animals kay ang sexual reproduction. So, ang kaning sexual reproduction, it is an genetic material from two individuals is combined to reproduce genetically diverse offspring. So, ang sexual reproduction can involve fertilization inside or outside the body. So, next is, in some cases, animal reverse their sex during lifetime as a response to environmental condition. So, when egg and sperm are shed off in the environment, external fertilization occurs such as in fish and amphibians. So, ang terrestrial animals exhibit internal fertilization in which the egg and the sperm may unite successfully and prevent the zygote or embryo from drying up. So this leads to kanang successful propagation of offspring coupled with care and protection to the young by the parents. So gonads produce gametes. Variation of life cycles occur in the different animals, so they perform various courtship and mating rituals to attract the opposite sex and ensure continuity of life. Next is ang spermatogenesis. So, ang kanilang spermatogenesis is the process of sperm cell production is localized in the male testes inside the mammalian testes. So, there are many collaged seminiferous tubules. Each tubule has potential sex cells called spermatogonia. So, these are diploid cells which undergo maturity at the onset of puberty. A cascade of reactions produce the male sex hormone, testosterone, thus initiating sperm cell production and development of secondary male sexual characteristics. So ang kanidang spermatogenesis mo ni siyang the process of producing sperm cell in the male testis kanang specifically with collide seminiferous tubules it begins with diploid cells called spermatogonia, so which mature under the influence of testosterone produced at puberty. So ang spermatogonium nag-transfer into a primary spermatocyte which undergoes meiosis to create two haploid secondary spermatocytes. So kanang this secondary spermatocyte nag-divide again through meiosis to form spermatids, so which mature into sperm cell with a head and tail. So kanang millions of these sperm cells are produced and temporarily stored in the epidermis. So kanang when ma-release ni ang sperm mo travel to the vas deferens mixing with secretions from various glands to form semen which is then expelled to the urethra. So the urethra also serve the release urine from the bladder. So next is ang oogenesis. So ang kaning oogenesis, when a human baby girl is born, she already carries tiny ovaries that contain all the potential egg cells that she can produce throughout her lifetime until such time that she approaches menopause during puberty. So a series of reactions produce the female sex hormone, the estrogen, and the maturation of the female gonad. So the ovary ensues. So kanang secondary sexual characteristic like development of the breasts are triggered. Primordial germ cells exhibit mitosis to form cells which begin meiosis. So ang kanidang oogenesis kay kanang imagine kanang a female baby is born with a bunch of special cells in her ovaries called oogonia. So these cells are like the starting point for making egg cells. So these oogonia grow and become primary oocyte, so which are still diploid, so meaning they have two sets of chromosomes. However, these primary oocytes stop dividing at a specific stage called prophase. So they are like paused or waiting for the right time. So kanang when a girl reaches puberty, these post primary oocytes starting dividing again. So they complete the first stage of meiosis, cells division that reduce chromosomes by half and split into two cells. So kanang a secondary oocyte and a tiny polar body. So kanang this secondary oocyte gets most of the cell stuff, including a lot of cytoplasm. So while the polar body is small and gets only half the chromosomes, so kanang this secondary oocyte is the release from the ovary. So this called ovulation. So if a sperm cell meets this secondary oocyte, it will complete the secondary stage of meiosis, producing a fertilized egg cell called ovum. So another small polar body. So ang kaning oogenesis mo ni siya ang kanang the process of making egg cells result in only functional egg cell from each original oogonium. The polar body are essential leftovers and don't get fertilized. So ang kaning oogenous kay different ni siya sa from spermatogenesis. So kanang where a single starting cells spermatogonium goes through meiosis and produce four functional sperm cell. Next is if sperm cells are not around during ovulation, the oocyte in the oviduct degenerates and ruptured follicle becomes a corpus luteum that also degrades. However, during successful fertilization, one sperm fertilizes an egg and the fertilized egg becomes a zygote later implanted in the uterus of the mother. The corpus luteum maintains pregnancy by secreting another female hormone, the progesterone. So next is ang animal development. So ang kaning animal development, it is a conception of fertilization in human occur near to the vicinity of the ovary, so the oviduct or the fallopian tube. So this is immediately followed by cleavage, mitotic cell division as the embryo. Blastula is pushed to the uterus by peristaltis is the oviduct. So ang animal development is a cleavage continues and forms the inner cell mass in the blastocysts containing all the potential stem cells to develop as to a human. So the outer lining of the blastocyst becomes implanted into the walls of the endometrium. So 7 days after fertilization, here the maternal blood vessels develop and connect to the nourish the embryo, which is result in a fetus. So the umbilical cord connects the fetus to the placenta, where maternal and fetal portions connect to the render life support to developing baby. So next is ang 3 trimester characterize human development. Inside the womb uterus of the mother, organs start to form and cells and tissues differentiate from each other by turning on and off of certain set of genes. So so diri kaya nga kay nagneed of proper nourishment is important for successful development and delivery of the baby. Childbirth begins with the labor, so during which uterine muscles contract, both the fetus and the placenta are pushed from the inner uterus into the cervix and throughout the vagina that properly expel the baby. So the placenta is also released. So the hormone oxytocin stimulate the uterus to contract and also stimulate to make prostaglandins, which result in more uterine contractions. Production of the mother's milk is stimulated by sucking of the newborn baby. So prolactin induces the mammary gland to produce milk. So that's all. So that's all for my part. Thank you for listening.